Many centuries ago, under the starlit sky of the east, three wise magi, Melchior, Gaspar, and Balthazar, followed a bright star that crossed the skies, which they interpreted as a sign of the birth of a Jewish king. The Magi, being wise, interpreted the appearance of this star as indicative of the arrival of someone special, possibly a divine king or the Messiah. It is believed that the Magi were divinely inspired or guided to recognize Jesus as the Son of God through dreams, visions, or an internal spiritual understanding. They came from distant lands, each from a different kingdom, and carried with them precious gifts. Before reaching Bethlehem, however, the three wise men arrived in Jerusalem and, meeting with King Herod, asked about Jesus. Herod felt threatened by the news of the birth of a king, and therefore asked the Magi to follow their way and return to tell him about Jesus' location when they found him, so that he too might worship him. But Herod's real intention was to kill Jesus. The Magi went, but did not return to inform Herod, as they had been warned in dreams not to do so, and they were wise enough to know his real intention. Melchior, the eldest, brought gold, a symbol of royalty, as a gift to honor the greatness of the one they would meet. Gaspar, with long white beards, brought frankincense, representing divinity, to honor the sacred aspect of the birth, indicating that Jesus was worshipped as God. And Balthazar, the youngest and with dark skin, brought myrrh, which was used for embalming bodies and symbolized suffering and death, foreshadowing the crucifixion of Jesus. The journey was not easy. They crossed deserts, faced sandstorms, and overcame many difficulties. But the star always guided them, shining more brightly as they neared their destination. Finally, after many days and nights of travel, they reached Bethlehem. There, the star stopped over a simple stable. The Magi, with reverence, entered the stable and found Mary, Yosef, and the little Jesus. The humility of the scene before them contrasted with the greatness of the moment. They knelt and offered their gifts, understanding that they were in the presence of a new era for humanity. The three wise men, each from a different culture and land, united by a common faith, represented the universality of the message brought by the birth of Jesus. After their visit, they returned to their lands, taking with them a story of faith, hope, and love to share with all. And so, the story of the three wise men reminds everyone that the light of a star can unite people and bring hope to the world. The Day of Kings, or Epiphany, is celebrated on January 6th and dates back to the early centuries of Christianity. The word Epiphany comes from the Greek epiphania, meaning manifestation or appearance, and celebrates the revelation of Jesus Christ as the Son of God to the world, symbolized by the visit of the Magi who came from distant lands. Epiphany occurs 12 days after Christmas, concluding the period known as the 12 Days of Christmas. These 12 days signify the journey and search of the Magi and the transition between the celebration of Jesus' birth and the revelation of his divine identity. Originally, the date commemorated not only the visit of the Magi, but also other significant events in Jesus' life, such as his baptism and the miracle of turning water into wine at the wedding at Cana. The connection between the events of Jesus' baptism and the miracle at the wedding at Cana with the Day of Kings, or Epiphany, lies mainly in how these events are interpreted and celebrated within the Christian liturgical calendar. Traditionally, Epiphany celebrates the revelation of Jesus Christ to the world. while the Day of Kings is more commonly associated with the visit of the Magi, symbolizing the revelation of Christ to the Gentiles, a significant moment of divine revelation that complements the worship of the Magi, expanding the understanding of who Jesus is. The miracle at the wedding at Cana is also a manifestation of Jesus' glory and divinity. As Jesus' first public miracle, it marks the beginning of his ministry and serves as another form of revelation of his divine nature, as mentioned in this biblical passage in John 2:1-11.
And saith unto him, Every man at the beginning doth set forth good wine, and when men have well drunk, then that which is worse. But thou hast kept the good wine until now. This beginning of miracles did Jesus in Cana of Galilee, and manifested forth his glory, and his disciples believed in him.
The journey of the Magi in search of the baby Jesus symbolizes the spiritual quest for truth and divine revelation. They followed the star with faith and determination, not knowing exactly what they would find. This encourages us to seek God with faith, even amidst life's uncertainties. The Magi, though they were men of great wisdom and status, humbly prostrated themselves before a baby in a stable. This act of humility and worship is a reminder of the importance of humility in faith and in worshiping God. The Magi represent the Gentile nations, showing that Jesus came for all people, not just for the Jews. This universality of the gospel emphasizes God's inclusion and love for all people, regardless of their origin or nationality. The gifts of the Magi, gold, frankincense, and myrrh, are rich in symbolism and teach us about the nature of Jesus as King, gold, God, frankincense, and man destined to die, myrrh. These gifts reflect on who Jesus is and what he represents. The worship of the Magi is a confirmation of the recognition of Jesus as the promised Messiah, the King of the Jews, who came to save all of humanity, reinforcing belief in prophecy and the fulfillment of God's divine plan of salvation. The story of the Magi encourages us to embark on our own journey of faith, guided by the light of Christ. Just as the star guided the Magi, faith in Christ is seen as a guide for life, leading to true wisdom and illumination. Therefore, the story of the three wise men brings messages of seeking and worship, humility, inclusion, recognition of Christ's nature, and inspiration for our journey of faith. It is a story that resonates deeply with the values and teachings of Christianity. Reflecting on the Magi inspires us to incorporate their teachings into our daily lives in various ways. Just as the Magi followed the star in search of the Messiah, we are invited to continually seek God in our lives. The Christian life is an ongoing journey of faith, where we are always learning, growing, and drawing closer to God. The worship of the Magi, who prostrated themselves before a baby in a stable, reminds us of the importance of humility and genuine worship. In daily life, this means recognizing the greatness of God in all things and living in a way that honors and glorifies Him, not just in words, but in actions and attitudes. The gifts of the Magi symbolize not only material offerings, but also the offering of the heart. In this way, we are called to be generous, sharing our resources, time, and talents with those in need. Generosity is a concrete expression of God's love flowing through us. The visit of the Magi, coming from different parts of the world, highlights the universality of Christ's message. This encourages us to look beyond our borders, whether of nation, race, class, or culture, and to love and serve all as brothers and sisters in Christ. Just as the star guided the Magi, we are called to be lights in the world, guiding others to Christ through our words and actions, and living a life that reflects the values and teachings of Christ. The Day of Kings is a time to reflect on the manifestation of Christ to the world and renew our faith, seeking ways to live fully in accordance with the teachings of Jesus. Therefore, the Day of Kings reminds us of the Magi's journey and the revelation of Christ to the world, a celebration to inspire us to live a life of constant pursuit of humility, worship, generosity, inclusion, being the lights in the world guided by the love and teachings of Jesus Christ. May this reflection deeply touch your hearts, and may we each day practice these teachings to deepen our connection with God.